see.
And we are live.
I think we
Coming
are.
from Hollywood, California.
What's up, world?
What's up, David?
How are
Shall
you?
we pod?
Let's pod.
Let's pod.
Ba-dum-bum. So I'm gonna just go ahead and clear the air for anyone who potentially just like stumbles on this live. This is the first time that we're trying it in a new way. We've been away for a little while, and we're trying this in a different technology. So bear with us while we figure this out on the fly. If you're listening, watching later, it won't matter that we're live, but we're gonna try to start doing these live. So we'll give you an opportunity to come hang out with us, ask some questions, and do things like that. So that's why it looks different.
Our tech extraordinaire David discovered new ways for us to be able to maintain while also streamlining our process. So
That's right.
This is why we're here. This is why we're doing this, and we are so excited to be back.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a minute.
It has what, like 6 months or something, right? Something crazy.
Yeah, I was trying to think of when we did it. It was before the football season, right? I like it was fully. I think once the football season started, we just like didn't do it anymore. So September, August.
Well, yeah, you definitely have a full wife now.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So it was well before the wedding. So yeah, before September 16th.
Yeah.
And it was also hot because I was always having to use my fan.
Yes.
Which means it was the summer. So yeah, we never made it past the summer.
We never made it past the summer, but
we're back.
We've had a very impactful fall.
Yeah.
And we're back, and that's the most important thing. We didn't let it go. We found a way to find our way back to each other. So here we are.
Yeah. And I think now we've talked about this a little bit too, but just to let anyone who is watching this stuff know too, is I think going forward, this is going to be our baseline too. We're going to be chatting with each other a lot, and we're going to be trying to catch up with each other with our own lives. I think you're going to get to know us a little bit better, which is both scary and awesome. And then we'll add guests into the mix as it feels right, and as we have people that want to join in the conversation and share the space with us. But we'll keep this to about an hour so that it can be live and cover all the stuff we got to cover.
Yeah. So,
right?
I think very quickly.
What'd I do?
Very, very quickly, we got a message.
Oh, we did?
Yes. One of my friends. What?
Oh, somebody's watching.
Yes, somebody's watching.
Oh, yes. Hey, what? I wonder what you got up to. So now I need to know. I need to know how that comes back to them. So you get this. God, I sound like such an old millennial right now. But you're getting that in the YouTube chat, I would assume, right, Kevin?
Kevin, I'm assuming, is watching from YouTube. Yeah, the little graphic says
that's the only way to watch it.
Yeah, YouTube. Oh, man. Yeah, got it right. Duh.
Kevin,
hi, Kevin.
Putting thanks the feet to the fire. We were no one's gonna watch this. We're just gonna be here,
We appreciate you.
Let's pod.
Yes. So really quickly, I think that David and I had jumped into this whole thing with like such high ambition, and we really are like go-getter type people, and we really enjoy each other as humans. We've been friends for a very, very long time, and we live very different lives. But we always find our way to come back to each other and catch up. And like, it's always so interesting hearing what David has to say. So that's how we began this whole podcast. But David is such a jack of all trades, king of all trades, really.
That's nice of you.
No, of course, I mean it. And because of the ambition that we both have, we wanted to make this something so elaborate and special. And we had 3 different cameras going and different audio sources going. And David is really a master in Final Cut Pro. So he was editing all of these things together and like separating the audio. And it was like, it was taking so much time away from, his fiance at the time and his life and his content creation that he was building up, which we will circle back to during today's podcast. But it just became a really overwhelming process for both David. And my mental health was starting to struggle as well. And I think we both collectively just decided that we just needed to take a beat. We needed to take a breath. And, mental health is a buzzword nowadays, but it also really is something that is very important, especially for the artist living in these crazy times in Hollywood.
My God, so much has changed since we last talked in
So much has
terms of
changed
the crazy. My
since we
God.
last talked. So that is kind of where the collective beat, the collective breath came from. But again, we are both very, very happy to be back. And like, there's been so much that has happened.
Yeah,
David got
absolutely.
married.
I got
David
married. How about
married.
that?
Yes,
Married, not engaged anymore. It's
I
fantastic. I've
know.
lost my ring almost a couple of times, but it always was in the house. So that's like that was a new thing. We now have ring holders in different rooms so that I don't lose my ring.
Yes,
But
I'm
yeah.
sure Allie, your wife, was like, no,
Sh
let's
she was
figure this
so
out.
awesome about it. Like, at one point, she's like, "It's fine. It's a r" I was, like, so hard on myself. There was one time that I was convinced, like, it was gone. Like, I was certain that, like, somehow or other, it just, like, was not here, and it happened to be in a drawer in the bathroom that I was putting away her hair tools, and it somehow fell off into the thing, and she found it later, but, like, in the moment of, like, being mad, she's like, "It's fine. If, like, we have to replace it. We have to replace it." And I was like, "It means I'm a bad husband." I failed. It's like one job I had, but yeah, married life's been good so far. And the wedding was awesome. So,
What a perfect example of how you two balance each other out,
oh my
right?
God, yeah, always. Yeah, she's the best, and I think, well, and through the crazy of the start, especially of this calendar year, with LA Fire's election, everything else, like, I think we've balanced each other out quite a bit too, because there's just been a lot of stress in different pushes and pulls that were unexpected. I think we all were like told that 2025 was like when things were supposed to
Yeah,
come back, and like
yeah.
it was supposed to smooth out, survive till 25, all that kind of stuff. And it was and then 2025 came like a Mack truck coming down the fucking tracks. Just, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But we're here.
we're
We
here.
got up. We woke up today. It's a new
Hmm.
day, and we're
Absolutely.
back.
You woke
We're
up at
back.
like 4:30, 5.
I stayed in bed till 6 today.
Oh my God, you slept in.
Did. I did. I
It's good.
did. But only because my morning workout was canceled. If my morning
Oh,
workout was
there it
not
is.
canceled, I would have
Oh,
woken
so it
up.
was like it was like you got extra time. That's always good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was actually up before you then. Allie had a job the last 2 days where she had to be up at 5:30, and I wake up to make sure she's up. But then today I got to go back to bed because there were no bags to carry.
Oh, I was gonna
So I
say
got
you
to
always
sleep till
carry the
7.
back to
So
the car.
yeah, it was nice. Yesterday
Nice.
was a 5 a.m.er, but I had a lot done because I was up so early. So I know why you do it now.
Oh, yeah, the morning time is my favorite time. It's quiet and nobody's bothering me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, by noon, it's like when you wake up that early for me, I was like, I have already done so many things. And then I got a audition thing that was like, come here in 2 hours.
Oh my god. Let's circle back to that. I wanna put a pin in
Yeah.
that
Pin
because
pin that. Yes.
yeah.
I got some thoughts.
Yeah, we both do. Okay, should we move into some icebreakers?
Let's do it. Look at this, and I can change the
Icebreakers.
text on the screen.
Icebreaker.
Icebreaker. I like that. Dream maker. Love taker.
Ooh,
Don't you freeze off my knees.
he's so good at the parody song. You see how he just came up with that, y'all?
You see
So
this
quick.
adult sippy cup that I have? Maybe they want to sponsor
That
us.
is adorable. That
Allie
is
bought it for me.
adorable.
She's
If
like,
it
I've made fun of her so much, and it literally is like a sippy cup. There's a straw like attached to this like sippy cup thing. So it's just like,
oh, I know someone that
and it's
I
kind
could
of
get that
awesome.
for. I might need to
Yeah,
get the name of that.
it's a weird, like satisfying,
I
like
believe
you
that.
can still dump, but like you can just and like get some water. It's great.
Thank you for the sound effects.
Yeah.
For our listeners, for the listener that doesn't get to watch. Thank you for the sound
That's
effects.
right. You're
Okay,
welcome.
my
Yeah.
first icebreaker. Now,
Let's go.
David, I want to remind you, we only have an hour. Okay?
I know. It's a ticking clock. We're doing good. We're killing it right now. I
We're
feel
doing
good.
good. We only
Yep.
have an
I'll be
hour.
fast.
Remember.
Yep.
Okay.
Icebreakers are short.
Number one, what are you watching right now? Not at this moment, but what television show are you watching? Shows.
Severance is my favorite thing on TV currently. That is it's just so good. The Pit, incredible.
Mm.
Found that because I was talking. What's cool is like Severance actually has connected me back to my family because my family's watching it because I recommended.
Oh,
And then my brother was like, "You got to watch The Pit," and so we started watching The Pit while we were waiting for new Severances. And The Pit's incredible. And Allie found a bunch of kids that she had worked with and some different stuff that were patients in it too. So like, it's neat to see people because there's so many people in and out with that one, that
yeah.
are on that one. Pit, Severance. We are watching White Lotus. I don't think this season, it just isn't. It's not as. I love Walter Goggins or Goggins or however we say his last name. Love him to death. And
Walton
Is
Goggins.
it Walton? Oh man,
Yeah,
I've called him Walter forever.
I
I'm
know.
sorry,
Same.
Walton.
I
I
know.
think he seems like an incredible person on top of being like a really good actor. And I remember him from The Shield. So like I've watched his career, like we watched the Gemstones too and stuff, and he's great. And Sam Rockwell, seeing him made me like this season a lot more as of the last one. But we're watching that. And then we also watched some trash TV. We watched the newest thing where they're in Minnesota. What was that in Netflix?
Minnesota.
That was it was the
Love
worst
is
season they've
Blind.
done. Yeah, worst season they've done.
Not Minnesota.
They were in
Minneapolis.
Minnesota
Oh,
this
yes,
time.
Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Yeah,
Wow,
they're in my hood-ish,
yes,
adjacent,
it
and it was
definitely was
boring.
the worst and boring season for sure.
So boring.
But it's
That's
over.
enough.
We don't even need to go there. The Love is Blind group chats that I'm in, because yes, I'm in a couple of them. Nobody watched it except for me. And it was
Yeah,
like
it was it
background
was
television.
not fun to watch, and I felt like they were all on this one, like, so I'm on TV
Mm.
more than before, like, more than looking to actually find love. Like, I found it hard to, like, really root for many of them. There were
Well,
only a couple that I was like, "Maybe."
there was also just not a lot of ethnicity going on in this season. And
None.
like my
We
people were
kept
like,
saying that the whole time. I was like, "What are we doing?" Like, everybody's like the same couple, just
but you know what I found out? Because I'm very good friends with one of the casting directors of that show. And she said there were a lot more ethnic couples, but
Mhm.
they just choose not to follow their story. Like there were
Why?
some people that got engaged. They just
Oh,
chose like
yeah.
all of the
About that on
specific
TikTok.
couples that they were like, we're gonna do this one, this one, this one, and this one. And everybody
Yeah.
else, no, you're not going on the vacation. And that was that.
I don't get it.
It's I don't understand it either,
This
but
was the worst one because other ones like the British one I remember for specifically is like we were rooting for multiple couples in that one. We were like, "Oh, I could see that." Like that one
yeah.
makes sense. Like we were shocked when Steven and whatever her name was like didn't actually work out at the reunion and stuff like that. That was the season that kind of got me where I would actually watch it with Allie rather than just like it was on and I was doing other stuff. Like that one was the one that caught me. And then the last time was okay. And then this one was just like not great.
Same. Agreed.
Yeah.
I am watching
What
White
are you
Lotus.
watching?
I'm watching White Lotus, but I do think that for some reason, Mike White like decided to like drag this season out a little bit.
Nothing's
I
happening.
but I think is about to, David. Honestly, I
It's about
think
freaking time. What are we,
it's
5
about,
episodes in?
I know, but I think the last 3 episodes that we get are going to be insane. From
I
what I've
want someone
heard,
to root for. Do you know what I'm talking about?
let's just root for Sam Rockwell in that crazy ass monologue because
I
wow.
like that. I mean, like, dude, when he started going there, I was like, whoa,
I
wow.
know.
Wow,
I
I didn't
know.
see that.
I know.
But yeah, okay. So you're watching White Lotus.
Um,
Keep going, sorry.
White Lotus, I started the new season, final season of Righteous Gemstones because Walton Goggins has just captured me as a fan 100%.
Pause. Because we watched that too. What'd you think of the first episode?
Well,
It was
first of
so out
all,
of left field. It
Matthew
had
McConaughey, I was like,
No, you
what?
mean Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I've said
Matthew,
really
forgive her.
two,
Bradley,
I've,
forgive her.
I've done really
They
two
obviously watched.
really dumb things already today on this live podcast.
You
Great.
just lost them both. We had them both as watchers, listeners, and now they're gone, Tiffany, forever, never to return to our pod.
Bradley
It's okay. I'll tell him
Cooper.
how much.
That's what I meant. Like I literally saw
He's
his face
so
and I
great.
said he was so great.
But it's the
Um,
so here's the thing. Last season of the show, right? Like all you're getting is the 8 or 10 or however many I haven't looked it up. And you spend an entire episode on none of the characters we've been following for 3 seasons to tell a backstory. Like that's a choice. That's a strong choice to take like 1/10 of your storytelling and like utilize none of the characters that you're watching the show for. Like no Walton, no. It's
I
bizarre. We were both kind of like, huh, that's an interesting choice.
I mean, I think for the final season, it's like they already have their audience. They know people are going to watch no matter what. But like,
Yeah,
why not give them a
yeah,
little bit of information about like where this all came from and how this all
sure.
started?
All right,
So yeah,
I had to ask.
um, there was something else
Yep.
I'm watching on HBO Max, but I can't remember what it is. But it doesn't even matter. We've talked too far along this one first icebreaker question that's lasted 6 minutes.
I only said 3 shows or 4 shows. All right, next. Move on.
Okay.
Move
Last podcast episode you listened to.
on. Pod Save America.
Pod Save America. That's your political one that you like?
Yeah. That and Ezra Klein. Those are the 2 that are in heavy rotation. But I did send you an episode of Conan's. I like Conan's a lot.
Yeah, I'm starting to like
The one with Adam
Conan's as
Scott.
well. I added it to. Oh, you sent it to me today?
No. I think before we were like re-game planning, I think I sent it to you.
Okay. You sent me the clip of Jason Bateman too.
Bateman. That was the one I sent you. Yeah. His episode was really good.
Got me into it with that
because he was talking about smart lists and the podcast and stuff. So yeah. No, I remember.
Yeah. I always listen to my podcast on the way to Palm Springs. And I listened to Millie Bobby Brown's episode of Smart Lists. And I'm not familiar with her. I'm not really familiar with her work. I didn't watch Stranger Things at all, but like she's a fascinating human being for sure. 63 million followers on Instagram. I'm just gonna leave that right there.
It's so
next
different.
So different what?
Just like that generation of creators coming up and having that many people following you, like it's a whole different thing.
Well, she said very quickly, she said in the Smartless episode that the first episode of Stranger Things aired and she had like gone to sleep that night with 65 followers and she woke up with a million in one night.
Yeah. And ours, I mean, so much is now based off of it too. So
I know.
Crazy.
Listen, you're well on your way, which we're going to touch on.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
Last icebreaker. Next big purchase you want to make.
Ooh. A trip. Because we either need to go on a honeymoon or just go on like a really cool trip.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
I like that.
I stuck the landing on that one. What's yours?
Mini splits HVAC system for my house in Palm Springs.
Mini splits.
Do you know what those are?
No.
Little air conditioner things that like sit at the top of the wall in a room that like.
Where like the blades like rotate kind of.
Yeah. Instead of having central air throughout the entire house, I got rid of all the ducting in my house. So there's no like pipes and stuff. So to be a little bit more energy efficient in the house because Palm Springs gets so hot.
So hot. I was going to say, you don't have air conditioning throughout the...
Not yet, but I'm about to.
Girl.
Mini splits for each room. It's probably going to be like some G's, like a lot of G's. Mm-hmm.
And we need to talk about this home ownership thing
someday. Not today.
One of these episodes we'll have our fixer upper episode.
Oh yeah.
Ask you all the questions about home renovations and ownership and all the things that I know nothing about.
The nightmare.
Well, you think it's the dream, but then it can end up that way.
Yeah, indeed. To be
Pin that for later too.
All right. Moving on. Let's catch up.
We did it. Let's catch up. What have you been up to, Tiffany? It's been almost a year. So I know you went to Italy. You visited
I did.
Land.
I went to Italy. I had to unfortunately miss your wedding because I was attending another wedding in Italy.
Yep. We're
Um,
still fighting.
I got a new job at Equinox, so
Congrats.
I'm teaching there as well.
Do
Thank
this year.
you. My
Wow,
teaching
I didn't.
schedule has like tripled, so I'm teaching 8 classes a week now. I'm still at my other place
Nice.
for now, and spending a lot more time over at Equinox, which is beautiful and lovely. It's like an elevated experience, and it's where I feel like I belong. So I'm having a good time over there.
How about that? That's good to hear.
Um, yeah, I've been auditioning and self-taping and, doing the do's and doing the things.
Doing the thing.
Um, Not a lot has panned out in that world, which has been really, really tough. But I did book my first job in that I've auditioned for in 2 years. Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you. I just finished that job last week. It was just a reading for a brand new musical, but the audition came in. This is actually a really good story I wanted to touch on, but the audition
Yep.
came in, and the I've done a lot of musicals. I grew up in musical theater, and I have had like a leading role in a musical before, but I don't necessarily always see myself that way as the leading ingenue girl.
Sure.
I feel like I live better and more comfortably in like the supportive roles. But the audition came in and it was for the lead, and like there was a lot of material that needed to be learned musically, and for the book. Um, and I was just like, this doesn't feel like it's sitting in my wheelhouse for me right now. So I went back to my agent and I said, hey, I don't feel confident enough to like put myself on tape for the lead, but I see that there's this other character. And I want to know more about this character. And I want to see, like, is it possible for me to read for this one? So they went back to casting. It took them a couple days to get back to me, but they finally did. And they was like, yeah, totally. Let her audition for that one. No problem. And I felt good about the audition musically. I learned the song. It wasn't a whole lot of material that I needed to do musically. So I felt good about that. I sang my song, I did my scene, and I sent it off. And then I ended up booking that role. And I was like, I got on the phone with my agent and I said, see, like, there was just something that was pulling me towards a different direction. And it's just like good to know that I was right.
Yeah.
I assessed the situation. I know myself. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. But I didn't want to let the opportunity pass me by because Michael Donovan was the casting office, and Michael Donovan casts all of like the big theater here in Los Angeles, which there's not a
Yeah.
ton of, but he does do a lot of the really big stuff. And my name is just never circulated around his office. And I was like, I can't let this opportunity pass me by. So this is why I want to make sure that I at least send in a tape
That's awesome.
for something. So, and I ended up booking the job. So I spent all last week rehearsing this new musical, and we presented it to a bunch of investors and decision makers and backers and things like that on Sunday. We had 2 presentations on Sunday, and I sang songs, and I was a love interest of the lead, and it was
Yeah.
wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It
That's
was
super cool to hear.
a little pep in my
We need
step.
to hear the wins, you know? That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
absolutely. Absolutely. So that's kind of where I've been, just like staying afloat, just trying to get up every day with like a positive attitude and stay open for miracles and stay open for when self tapes and stuff come in last minute, because they quite often do.
Yeah, you're an actor. You're not doing anything with your life. Can you come in 2 hours?
That
Slap
happened to
enough.
me yesterday, right?
Yes, it did. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's a weird thing for people that don't live in this land. Like it's strange because you just said, you have like all of these other things going on in your life, because we all do. Like it's almost impossible unless you are an A-lister to sustain yourself on this work, unfortunately, financially in Los Angeles in our current times. So almost everybody has other stuff that they're doing. And whether that stuff is also in the creative world or completely separate, if you get a call like I did yesterday at 11:45 to be at an audition at 1:30, and you expect people to be able to drop everything for that, that is a slippery slope that I feel like is like a hard thing that I feel like our union and stuff has been fighting to protect us with the self-tape stuff, to
Yeah.
understand the technological aspect of that and how the fast turnaround is not good for mental health. It's not good for the product. You're not going to get the best stuff when there's not enough time. And to expect people to be able to drop their lives to do something, it's frustrating. Now, I will say on the flip side, and this is again why my wife is awesome. She was like, that sucks, but take the win. And that's like the other side of that coin is like an
Yeah.
opportunity to be seen is great. And because I did have the ability with what I was doing to be flexible enough to like go, it's fine. It's just like we were talking a little bit before we started this, not much because we wanted to save it for this, but just the idea of the self-elimination that does to your pool of talent, just by saying like, here's the thing. And even if I was filling in for somebody, apparently there was a cancellation, which is doubly frustrating for me as an actor. It's like, why wasn't I just submitted in the first place? Or why wasn't I, awarded the opportunity to be seen in the first place? Why did it have to be a fill-in? But that's a whole other layer of the onion.
Yes.
But when you're expecting people to be able to drop their lives and do that in 2 hours, you're eliminating a giant chunk of those people before they've ever even walked in the door. Cause like a lot of people do have other things, or they're on a different show, or they're on, like I do a lot of voiceover work that's like 2 hours here, 4 hours there. And it happens on the regular. And it's like, you get maybe a week's notice. Sometimes, other times you get a couple days, and that's obviously the priority because you're getting paid. And so everybody's chasing that same
Yes.
dollar, but like when you don't give people enough time to like do, I don't know, it's just frustrating. And so that does happen, and it happened to me yesterday. And I love my agent for getting me an opportunity. I love the casting people for seeing me. I just feel like that's not a winning, successful formula for anyone.
Agreed.
Mic
But
drop.
but sometimes it's those moments, and I have to remind myself of this all the time because I am the most frustrated human being when my plans have to get completely altered because I am a
Yeah,
planner,
same.
minute by minute,
Same.
day by day.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes those moments when you don't have the time to think about it, and you don't have the time to focus on like, booking the job and booking
Yeah.
the room, like you just got to go and do whatever it is that you have and keep it moving.
Yeah. And I will say it was one of the most confident auditions I've done.
Yeah, right. There was not a lot of time for other stuff to get in the
Yeah.
way. So
And I had to like put on a suit. I guess it's one of those things, like it's like you play pretend. And on that level, I think it was actually the podcast I was listening to with Adam Scott, where he was talking about his struggles as an actor when he was getting started, because it took him a while to like feel like he had broken in, so to speak. Like he did extra work, and then like until he got, I think it was Parks and Rec that was sort of his big breakout that like led to Step Brothers and other things where he was in bigger things. But he was saying how he just hated auditioning, and he felt like he was bad at it. And that was like a piece of it. And I've struggled with that myself too. And like, it's interesting when something comes up and you're like, most of that, I guess I didn't have time to like
yeah.
ordain what I would do well or not. I was just like, I had to put a suit on and go play pretend. And then at the end of the day, I was like, well, that was fun. Like I got to dress up. There you
Yeah.
go. And then I got right back and put a mustache back on. So
It's hard to maintain that level of like positivity all the time though in these last minute
oh
things.
yeah.
I wish that I was a little bit more spontaneous of a human just in general. I think if I had a little bit more spontaneity, I could just be like, fuck it, let's just go,
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Easier
got
said than done.
way easier said than done. I ended up giving myself an opportunity to go to sleep nice and early last night. And
Ooh.
while I was sleeping, 2 auditions came in at 11:40 p.m.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. For
luckily
today?
it's for today. It's a self-tape, and I'm gonna be jamming to do it as soon as we're done with
Oh my God.
potting here today. But it's just like I had a whole idea for how my day was gonna go. And I was like, do I cancel the pod because I need to focus on these auditions? No. This is important to me as well. This is a creative outlet for me as well. And I think that's important to mention also, not not dropping everything to make mountains move for these opportunities,
Yeah.
like get it in where you can fit it in,
Yeah.
because this is important to me too. This is a priority for me too. So
Totally.
I was like, no, I'm not canceling the pod just because somebody decided to send out auditions at almost midnight last night,
Well, and I will say, circling back to like this new experience with it too, this makes it easier for us to continue to have it be a priority, because this is easier to do in terms of just like, we're still getting to have the conversation without having to set up a whole thing and have it be
Yeah.
as much of a time commitment. So I think
Yeah.
that's going forward. I'm excited about this new format for that reason too, because it's important to talk about this stuff, because it's the same, I don't know, like our chasing auditions and chasing life and all of those things all are part of this. And I think I had a similar kind of epiphany today while I was getting ready for this, because I was like jamming through a bunch of stuff to try to get done. I was like posting some things for my other project and getting all that done, getting a workout in, trying to like feed myself. And then it was like kind of getting up to the line. And I was like, well, but that's my job. Like, this is my work day. And those are all elements of what my work day like looks like versus like what I grew up thinking
A
a
work
work day
day.
looked like
Yeah.
for an adult. Like
Totally.
some of my work is play, and part of that is, juggling the opportunities that pop up. And I did, like I said, in the moment yesterday during that one, it was really frustrating, but like I was able to, before I got in, get to this place where I was like, but it's still good. And it's still like better to have it than not have the opportunity. And you never know. Like you said, sometimes those are the ones you book. So
Yeah. Please keep us posted. I think our
we shall
audience,
see.
me and Kevin, want to know.
That's right. How are the dishes, Kevin? Those dishes clean yet?
He's definitely not still listening to us. Well, that's okay.
That's totally fine. I don't blame him at all.
It's fine. The fact that he even popped in at all is like, oh, we're doing something here.
Well, the cool thing, this will live forever for everybody else to come to later. So all of you other people washing your dishes while listening to it as a recording, hello and welcome as well.
I think I want to talk a little bit more about what you've been up to and your other project, because it's gone from like 0 to 100. He's still listening.
Oh,
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, the chat. I got a bubble.
Kevin, you're so sweet. The dishes are done.
That's amazing.
Okay.
No, I appreciate that, Kevin, because that was kind of the whole basis of this when we started it in the first place, was like this sort of juggling a creative life while also juggling an adult life of lifing is an interesting balance. And I don't think it's unique necessarily to us as creatives, but I do think for me, even just hearing Tiffany explain like how you felt with, this being a priority or whatever, like to connect the dots with like, oh, someone else kind of like has those same struggles as I do, or feels the way that I do, or, oh, that's a perspective that I could use in my own life. And I hope I can apply that next time I'm frustrated or I'm feeling whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all very relatable. And we're all experiencing our own journey in this creative life. And we're doing it while balancing like living in one of the most expensive cities that there is, and like trying to like be able to maintain a livelihood here. It's all it's not an easy game, but we're still here. We're sticking it out, and having things like this to anchor us, having the pod like this to anchor us down and just like powwow it out, I think is only going to help make us be able to sustain this even longer.
Yeah. Gives us a little community to talk it out, which I think is going to be cool.
I think you and I can agree we're both lifers in this game.
Yeah.
We're just doing it.
I've been looking for other things all the time, and like I think I finally, at 20 years in almost now, like hit the point where I was like, no, like anything else I do takes away from what I could do here. And it's just, you gotta see the forest through the trees and keep on going.
Well, I really want to make sure
derailed from what you were talking about.
No, it's okay. I love that Kevin is getting involved. Thank you. Kevin is also a creative. He's an amazing artist, and I know he does a lot of other things as well. But I just really wanted to acknowledge the support that we're getting from him. But I really also want to touch on your other project, because this is like something that started as just like a hobby. It started as like side interest, but like David, you have been, in my eyes, you have been like one of the most talented people that I have ever met, because there's so many elements to your skill set, right? There's
Uh,
not a lot of people that have such an expansive skill set like you do. And I
Thank you.
think it's sometimes I feel like the most talented people are the most underutilized. I have a lot of friends that did Broadway for a very long time. They're out here now, but they went from Broadway show to Broadway show to Broadway show to Broadway show, and they
Mhm.
stayed in the ensemble the whole time. They maybe had a little feature here and there, but because they were so talented at dancing, so talented at singing, so talented at acting, they were better used in the ensemble as a cover, as an understudy for
'Cause
the
they could do
lead.
anything.
They could do
Yeah.
anything, and still being able to maintain like a strong, solid position in the ensemble.
Yeah.
And they never were able to like pop off and like pop out of the background. And I feel like that's really similar to your journey, because you can do so much. When I first met you, we were in acting class together, but you were also like, hey, I make music. I'm doing a show at this club. Come and watch me perform. So we came and supported you doing that, and then you started working at Apple, and you became like this fucking tech dude, genius that just like understands all of these platforms that allow you to like be so creative in so many ways. And now, with this boom of content creation that has happened over the last 5 years or so, it's like you found a way to marry all of the things that you do in one place, and you have complete and utter control over it. You're not waiting for a casting agent to say, hey, I choose you. You're not waiting for a decision maker or a director to be like, hey, I want you for this job. You are in control of every single element that you do, and it's all happening in this little room that you're sitting in right now. And you went from 0 to 100, and I just like, it's just mind blowing to me what you have been able to do. And I
Ah,
just
man, thank you.
want you to,
Those were my
I
hands,
hope,
not my
I just hope that you're so proud of what you've done. And for the listener, and for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, this is the man behind Dave Swerski, the Bears, the
Ah,
newest
bears.
iteration of the Saturday Night Live characters that were created so long ago. And now David has just taken it to a completely new level, and he's only just begun.
Oh,
Let me just
man,
start with this. I know I just said a lot, and I'm sorry, but I
it's
just
way
needed
too
people.
nice. You're too
I
nice.
I needed people to know. But
Thank you.
like, you started at 0, and tell me, one, how many followers do you have on both TikTok and Instagram? And two, how many views you have on both of those platforms as well? And when
Oh,
you
man.
started, when did you start?
So I started it I just finished my second season. So 2 football seasons ago. So it was the 2023 to 24 season was the beginning, which was right in the strikes and stuff. So it had started there at 0 as, like you said, just kind of like a fun thing to do. I was doing some stuff with stop motion animation and some other things. I was just kind of trying to find something. I felt like I understood the idea of YouTube specifically, and like the social media platforms also, like all funneling the same thing of almost being a new aged studio system. If you think of it the right way, we were like, you can program your own stuff and you decide when it comes out, and you have full authority over all of that, over your schedule, over how much you can do, over taking a break, over like all of that. Like there is no structure other than what you give it. And I didn't find a lot of traction with the stuff that I was doing originally. I did like some music lessons, I did some other stuff. And then, yeah, Dave Swerski was like, it just started as fun. There's a protection level in it because I'm wearing a costume that like hides my eyes. And I've always found acting role, like I've never gotten to do a lot of character stuff, but that's where I really find my comfort level, is when I'm hidden a little bit or like transformed into something where like you're using whether it's makeup, prosthetics, or a costume, or even just a really good wardrobe, like that, you feel it once you have that stuff. and Dave Swerski was kind of that. And I started at 0 in 2022. Now after 2 seasons, I'm at 125,000 followers total. That is, I'm right on a shade under 60,000 on both TikTok and Instagram each. And then I have over 4,000 on YouTube, and 9,000 or something on Twitter. And, so I don't really spend my time there anymore. And I find that to be the lowest level of like return on my emotional investment and just time investment. Like, I don't think Twitter is growing in the same rate, and my stuff lives on the other ones a little bit better. And last season, so the first season I had a couple things go to 1 million. They kind of popped here and there with like no following. So it sort of built the following where I could join the program in TikTok for rewards and things, and to monetize things there. And then this past season, I started to do brand deals, and my Instagram really took off about a year ago right now, because it was right around the draft. And I got invited to go to the Bears draft in Soldier Field. And I had done a draft medley going into it. And I think at the time I had like maybe 3,000 followers on Instagram then. And I was somewhere in the neighborhood. I was over 10K on TikTok, but it wasn't like crazy. Like I was above enough to get there, like maybe 20 at the most. And then I did this one video, and on Instagram, it went to like 750,000 views when I had like no following there. And that started the process of, through last season, my Instagram really took off too. And on Instagram alone last season, I can't really calculate it all, because it's kind of like, there's no clear cut, like, here's all your views. But the last time I tried to calculate, I had over 30 million views just on Instagram last season.
Oh my gosh, take a
And
moment.
TikTok was probably 10 to 20 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what's crazy is I've been out kicking my coverage this entire time. Like, the reach has been so extreme for the following, and the following is kind of starting to like catch up. And like last season I added merch. And so now there's like a merch element with things where I'm designing my own merch and coming up with a strategy now where I'm going to have like limited edition merch that people can, like, hopefully gives people a reason to want to support, and, give them more things that they can get out of that support than just like one thing all the time. And yeah, I'm super excited to see what next season brings. I've been in like a weird kind of like 2-month sort of like holding period where I've been trying to like force myself to take a break. Because for people that don't know that project, I do a parody song after every single game of the season. And then I do a long form YouTube show in the middle of the week with updates about what has happened, what's happening next. And then I do a game preview at the end of the week. And then sometimes I'm doing another parody song somewhere in there too. And it is a one-man band project where I'm writing everything, I shoot everything, I edit everything, and I'm releasing everything. And I make it look like there's more of me than me, but there's still people that are convinced I have a twin, which is fantastic.
I want to note also that when you're creating these parody songs, excuse me, you are choosing obviously very popular songs, but you also have to teach yourself how to play them. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. There has maybe been a handful at most that like I had somewhat familiarity with, like how the chord structure was, or like, I've sung it and played it as an acoustic guitar. But no, I play a empty protein tub with a shaker, and smack the tub with a shaker as my drums, and I hit a pillow as the bass drum. So I build it from like every element. So I build a kick drum pattern, I build the snare and hi-hats with the shaker and the protein thing. I figure out a bass line, I put guitars on top, and then I do a bunch of harmony vocals. And I usually, like, through the season, I was turning them over with a full video and edit within 24 hours after the game was done.
That
Yeah,
is insane. That
the
is
building the song,
insane.
it's been really cool as like a learn for me, because it's like, you're right. Like it took everything I love,
Yes.
that I wasn't ever really, no one was presenting me these opportunities. No one was like, hey, you want to direct something? Hey, you want to write something? Hey, do you want to edit something? And I did the comic book club, like this other project of mine, and that sort of like kind of set me to like, oh wow, I'm capable of these things that I've always thought were like, because I revere the people who do them really well. So like I've always kind of like stamped myself down where like I shouldn't be doing that, or like I have no business doing that. But like once I figured it out, and the pressure cooker of the football season is that it never ends. Like there's a game coming, there's a game coming, there's a game coming. It's like the players kind of like they finish a game and they have to like immediately flush it and go to the next game. And that's sort of where I'm at with it too, is like there's no time to criticize myself or to like block myself from going, because like now that there's an audience, which is the first time, it's like so beautiful and also like sad and frustrating, if I'm being honest. Like it's the first time in my life that I like have people who are like lining up is too strong of a term, but like actually excited to see what I put out and to like consume my creativity, which is all I've ever wanted, is just to like make stuff
Yeah.
and have people give a damn. Um,
It's
and that's
really
the most
hard.
beautiful part of it.
I think so too. I think it's a very difficult life being an artist in Los Angeles, right? We've
Yeah.
been trying and grinding for so long, for so long, for so long, and you just want somebody to acknowledge like all of the work that you are capable of and all of the work that you are creating. And I think that it's been especially challenging for you. You had a very big moment of success when you first moved out here, and then it kind of like your career kind of went into a lull, and I know that really impacted you. I know that really impacted you mentally and emotionally and all in all kinds of ways, and it's just been a struggle, and it's just so beautiful to finally see you getting even like a moment of what you deserve, just like this tiny
Uh,
little bit of what you deserve. And I feel like truly this is just the beginning, that
Thank
people
you.
are really gonna know exactly who you are and what you're capable of. And I nobody gets to see the behind the scenes, and I don't get to see a lot of it either, but I know what the behind the scenes looks like for you. And I really want to be a part of the docu-series that you
Yeah.
create when you go behind the scenes and like really expose everything that you are doing, because you can talk about it here as much as you want, but like to really see you in action, I think is going to be really exciting. Because I've said this to you. What's that guy's name? Bo Berman?
Oh, Burnham.
Burnham. I always
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
when I watched his piece that he
Inside.
created during COVID, I was like, this is David. This is David in a nutshell. And
And
like
I
it's
former
magic.
listeners know I've talked about that
Yeah,
specific special that he did during COVID, like shook me. I was like, and I've gone back to it now. Don't watch it now. Like, no offense, Bo. Like, I hope people,
sure. Yeah.
bajillions of people, you won an
Every
Oscar, you're
time.
fine. But like now it's super sad because like it reminds everybody of sort of where we were in that space. But
Sure.
to go back to the positive, I think the coolest thing for me is that it taught me how to be really disciplined, I guess, too. Um, because I've always been really disciplined, but like there's sort of like a trying to do this job, you sort of feel like you're just like a leaf on the breeze. Like, you know, an opportunity comes and it gives you something, and then like you get to do a show, and then the show is taken from you, and then you're like, well, what the fuck do I do now? And like, where do I go next? And that
Yes.
sort of level of like just being whipped around by like forces that are beyond you when you know you're capable, and like being capable isn't really enough. It's like you have to be
Yeah.
capable, and opportunity has to meet that capability. And that is just, it's lightning in a bottle. And some people have found it at different times in their career, whatever. But like I found it very hard to sort of like, how do I stay in a practice of like disciplined making of stuff? Because like
Yeah.
when you get done making things too, I don't know, maybe I'm alone in it, but like there's a sense of relief. Like I've written a lot of albums, I've like put out, you know, like different things, I've written stuff, did the comic book club. Like when you finish it, it sort of is like, okay, well now what next? Like, and how do I, like, my brain is always going, you need to be writing more, you need to be making more, you need to whatever. And this project really was like when feeder to the fire, and like I've made these commitments to getting these things out this often. And I started to see a return on that investment of time too, of like, you know, people wanting more. It was so great to know I had it in me to like be able to get to the end of it every time. So like now having landed the plane twice in 2 years, like to get to the end of the season and having done that many parodies. And like now, I mean, I'm in 2 years, I think I've written and performed and put out. I'm well over 100 videos. Like I think I might be closer to 150 or 200 videos, but then like that's everything. Song wise, I'm probably getting close to 100 because I did so many beyond just the 18 of the season and everything else too. So like it's been it's really clicked a lot of things back in. Like I'm considering re-recording some of my old music in a new way because I've sort of like found that building of music again from ground up. Like now that I can reflect because I have a little time, it's I don't know. It's cool. That's all.
It is. It's so good, David, and I'm so glad to be a part of your circle, to be able to see the progression of just this project, and also the progression of you as an artist. Like I've known
Thank
you
you.
for, gosh, 10,
Long
12
time.
years, 12 years,
Something like
something
that.
like that. It's been
Yeah.
crazy, but it really is magical. And I think that I know that people talk about this a lot on social media, especially for people that are just thinking about getting into content creation and like how does it work? How does it happen? But something that I've been thinking about a lot recently is like, what is the difference between those people that have in your eyes made it, like have
Mhm.
gotten success, and myself or yourself, oneself? What is the difference between those people? Because I'm walking around this planet feeling like I do have something special, and I am a talented person, and I worked really hard to build like the skill sets that I have. But like, what is the big difference between those people that in my eyes have made it? And it's what I'm the only thing that I can come up with is this like unwavering belief in self, right? Like
Yeah.
knowing, just the standing in the knowingness of who you are and what you have to offer, and not letting anything, sure, temporarily break you down, but always finding a way to get back up and always finding a way to keep going, because what's meant for us is never going to pass us by, and you just got to like stay the course and have that unwavering belief in yourself and what you're bringing to the table. But I also think the other piece that you touched on is that consistency aspect, right?
Yeah.
Like you found a rhythm, you found a way to maintain a level of consistency, and that's when you started to see results. Now, you probably haven't seen like the financial result that you're looking for, but you're definitely creeping towards that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's just a matter of staying the course, staying on the journey and keep going. So it's
I appreciate it.
absolutely been wonderful to watch and very inspiring to watch you go from 0 to almost 150,000 followers. Is that what you said?
125.
125. It doesn't matter. The followers is not even what
Yeah.
matters. It's the people paying attention and the people acknowledging how wonderful you are. And I'm so happy that it's finally happening for you, and it's
Thank
happening on
you.
your terms, not anybody
Yeah.
else's.
Thank you for
Yeah,
shining a light on it. And honestly, that's when we stopped doing this, it was marriage and that going into season 2 for me,
of
which
course.
is like very all encompassing in terms of like that many videos. So it kind of ties it back to where we've been for almost a year too.
Yeah.
It's been
Well, I
crazy.
hope
Thanks for
that,
talking about it.
of course, I wanted to very much. I hope that this new way of potting with the live stream and everything, I hope that this helps us streamline this whole thing so that it becomes more of an outlet when you do get into your busy season, because I know football season will be quickly approaching, and I know that that's going to be very consuming for you. But I hope that being able to take an hour out of your day on a Thursday and just like talk about how wonderful you are and celebrate each other, and just kind of touch base and catch up will be only something to help fuel the fire and not like take away from what you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I hope the same for you. I think it, eliminating things sometimes feels like the right thing to like, like you said, like mental health stuff, like all of that. But then also the realization of like the additional things when they are kind of magical and can help. Cause that was the whole reason to start this in the first place, was like to try to like, and even like I had done a podcast that I tried in COVID that was called like the Working Actor podcast that you did with me as
Yeah.
well. And like my whole purpose every time I've tried that is to give some sense of community to people who are also creative, who are on this journey at all different levels. And that doesn't have to be because they're actors. It's like, you know, anybody in life, like how do you juggle life and staying committed to like the things that mean something to you? And I think that this will be a really cool space for us to just like check in on each other. I'm going to ask you about your dating life and future things. Cause now that I'm married, I need to live vicariously through other people's, you know, trials and tribulations and wins and successes.
Yeah,
Um,
I can
but
talk a
this is
lot
gonna be a
about
cool
that.
space for that, and like just friendship and community, and like anyone who joins, like Kevin today. Thank you for being
Yeah,
here. Oh, there's 2 people watching now. Who else is
really?
watching? Who are you?
Thank
Identify yourself. No, don't. You
thank
don't have
you,
to.
Kevin.
Thank you for watching, folks.
Truly.
Um, and we're gonna try to keep these like I'm gonna just like start to land the plane, because I think the idea here is to give ourselves, like we said, an hour,
Mhm.
and to hopefully consistently do this. I think we're gonna start doing this every 3 weeks
Yeah, we'll start with
or
that and
so
see
for
how that
now.
goes.
And then we'll pop back in when we have more, but they'll live on YouTube after we do this, which just makes the whole thing easier. Like she said, like we were doing multiple cameras and multiple microphones in the same room and trying to set up a studio, so to speak, when my dog was running around and making noise. And this will make it a whole lot easier for us to just actually share the stories and to do um, what we actually wanted to do, which is just have these conversations and end up feeling refreshed and energized from them, and hopefully help other people feel the same. And then we'll invite some other people into these as well to sort of
Yeah,
pick their brains on how they're doing. And there's a lot to talk about. This has been
absolutely.
like the audition thing. I have so many more questions, but it's probably good to leave where we are and have burning questions for next time. But
For
uh,
sure.
it's a weird time to navigate, and we're all in it together.
Absolutely. And I think this is also a really good example of like, let's not overcomplicate things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It can be way more simple.
Yeah.
Um, and I think this is gonna work out really well.
Same. Thanks for doing it. Now go
Absolutely.
kill your auditions. You have to go tape multiple things. So what are you doing on this thing with me? Get out of here.
Oh,
Go do
you
your
know.
thing. Strike legs. You're going to be great. Everybody else who watches
Thank
this
you.
later, thank you again for supporting. And
Yes, we are going to revive the Instagram. We're gonna revive all of the things. We're coming back and, thanks for hanging with us and, yeah, to be continued.
yeah, awesome first start. I love it. Thank you, Tiffany.
Cool. Okay.